Thanks so much for listening to No Lions Here with me, Big Panda. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to No Lions Here. My name is Big Panda, and I'm a recovering sex addict. Happy to be back on the show. Glad to be with you. Another solo episode with me, giving life updates. And so before we jump into everything, definitely want to give a shout out to my sponsor for the show, Beginning In Institute out in Boulder, Colorado. Their information will be in the description. If you or anyone you know or love is struggling with porn, sex, or love addiction, definitely go check them out. They're a huge part of my story. And I just really believe they were the running start that I needed into my own recovery, that they really kicked things off for me 4 years ago today. Sorry, not today. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, just want to give a shout out to them. Thank you so much for the support. Definitely go check out everything they're doing. They're doing some amazing works. Yeah, go check them out. Thanks so much for tuning in and joining me on my journey. It's weird. I feel like it's been a minute, at least since I've done a solo episode, right? Just like an update on where I'm at and how I'm doing. And like before we kind of get into that, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little anxious to put this out there, but like I want to offer up my coaching services to anybody that feels that they could benefit or in need of some recovery coaching. I am currently looking to take on some clients as far as the recovery coaching goes. I am a certified certified recovery peer support specialist. That certification is recognized nationwide. So I am a certified recovery coach. And I'll kind of get into why I'm kind of putting this out there now. But yeah, I want to put out there that like I am open to taking on some clients. So if you or anyone you know could benefit from that or want to take part in that, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is nolionshere@gmail.com. Again, that's nolionshere@gmail.com, and definitely put in the subject line coaching so that I can kind of weed out anything that I get. But yeah, this is something that like I've wanted to do with the certification, and what I've wanted to do with my life is like work with people one-on-one, whether it be drug and alcohol recovery, whether it be sex addiction. Obviously my bread and butter is like the sex addiction because that's the program that I work. However, too, like with me working in the drug and alcohol treatment industry, I'm open to, because I've shared this a lot. Like I'm a firm believer that like I don't care what your addiction is, like what's underneath is what we're looking at, right? What the behaviors, the solutions as we like to think of them, those really don't matter, right? It's what's underneath. And I feel like with me being in the industry for over a year now, I feel like I've got some really good tools under my belt, and I feel like I'm ready to to put it out there. And one of the reasons why like I'm putting this out there and deciding to do this is, one, again, part of my goals, right? Like part of my goal is to have a coaching business and do the podcast, together. And that kind of be like sources of income for me. The other reason too is like we'll kind of jump right into it. Like I'm the girlfriend and I, my partner, Beanie, we're discussing living together. And so living with her means that I will physically move, not only just from like out of my mom's house, hooray, but like I would be physically moving, an hour and 20 minutes away, an hour and a half away. And so, that's something that we're kind of looking at and we're kind of discussing right now. Like we're having those conversations, last week we introduced the dogs. So I got a big dog, she's got a big dog, and he's coming with me. And so we reached out to some trainers, and we organized and set up a time to where like we set the time up with them, and we introduced the dogs. And it's funny because my dog he just doesn't care. Like he likes other dogs and he likes people, but also too he's so lazy and he just doesn't care. I got a big old 220-pound mastiff, and so he just doesn't really care. It was really interesting though in that meetup though. So right, so we looked into some dog trainers down in her area, and I reached out and talked to them, and so like we set it all up because I really wanted like professionals involved, because dealing with this, whether it's meeting a new dog or introducing my dog to a new dog, I get a lot of anxiety, right? So I share this with you guys a lot. Like I deal with a lot of anxiety. And so when it comes to these types of things, like the anxiety is almost like multiplied inside of me. Like it just kind of races through my body, right? Like I get like this fluttering in my chest, and it's like this, it kind of moves up to the throat. And, we're talking about being mindful of the signs that our bodies are giving us when these uncomfortable feelings come up, right? Like, because our body's going to tell us something's going on before our brain can really catch up and kind of start putting the dots together, right? My body, what I love about the body is like, it's so primitive in that like, it just immediately starts throwing up these things, right? And if I can be mindful, right, before I even know what it is that I'm feeling, there's already that sensation in my body. I can get kind of flushed in the face, kind of red. And this is what I talk to clients about, being mindful of what is the sensation in the body, because that's the first thing that's going to pop up for us. And so in dealing with this, whether it be meeting a new dog that I've never met before, or introducing my dog, or people, I get this physical sensation inside of me that it tells me, fuck it, run. That's essentially what my body's trying to tell me to do, is run. This is scary, right? This is threatening. We have to escape and run. And then that's when the addictions come through and all that stuff. So we get out, and I get Max out of the car, and like the first thing the trainers are like, well, he got bad hips, doesn't he? Oh, he's got, and I'm like, I'm aware that like he's an older dog, and like I'm aware that like he may have complications and he may have problems, but like they just like immediately kind of like threw them in my face, and that was not their intention, right? Like that was not their intention. And we noticed like he's been losing some weight, and I'm like, I don't really know what's, and the one of the trainers was like, diabetes. He's got diabetes. And I was like, geez, like let's slow down a little bit here, like, right? Like, I didn't come for you guys for medical advice for the dog. Like, we're here to introduce the dogs. And it was interesting. So like, while we were there, and the girlfriend showed up with her dog River, and they're kind of talking us through the introduction process, and introducing them, and and what to look for. And it was all like really good information. And then it got back to like the health issues around my dog. Now, my dog is active. Maybe I don't walk him as much now. And this all kind of plays into this idea and this guilt that I have around like not being around my dog a whole lot, right? Like if you are, if you're an adult, which I think all of us listening to this show are, there's, when I get up, I go to work, I'm at work for 10 hours, and then I come home, and, I got to take care of this stuff and that stuff. One of the reasons why I wanted to introduce the dogs is so that when I go down to where she lives, I'm there for a few days, and I want to be able to bring Max with me so that I've got a little bit of peace of mind of, okay, he's with me and he's getting the attention that he deserves, or that I want to give him, right? I feel guilty sometimes when I'm not there and I'm not giving him the attention. Now, he's a very well looked after dog. He's lived a very good life. As far as I know, he's comfortable. Again, he gets fed, he gets taken out. Like, I'm going to go home today and cut the grass. We're going to go play outside. So like, I already carry this guilt around like, not being as present as I'd like to be. But again, like, what does that really look like? What do I have time for? And so like, I already kind of carry this guilt around him. And so, these dog trainers kind of like throwing these things at me, as far as the health concerns, it's like, it just makes me feel, I don't know, more guilt, a little shame probably. And when they were very nice about it, and they were like, oh, and it was interesting though, because so I'm standing there, right, and I'm like, okay, yeah, thank you, thanks for letting me know, I appreciate you letting me know, that almost like that customer service face, right, that I can like throw on at any point in time, like just this like a customer service type face, like, yeah, okay, yeah, thank you, yeah, smile and nod, and so like, as soon as we left, so like, we both met up there, and then I took Max home, and like, as soon as I got in the car, I called the girlfriend, and I was like, oh my, I can't believe that they were telling me this, and they were telling, like, I didn't want to hear that. That's not why we're here. And, just kind of like venting about the situation. And then later that day, I dropped Max off, and I went down to the girlfriend's house, and she said to me, she was like, you're very selective with like who you share your feelings with, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, I am. And she's like, yeah, I could, when the dog trainers were sitting there talking to you about like the potential of Max having bad hips or diabetes, she was like, you just kind of had this smile on your face and just kind of nod. And you even mentioned like, yeah, I really appreciate you letting me know about these things. And then she's like, and then I get a call from you afterwards, and you're just like venting about them just telling you these things. And I was like, yeah, I can hold it in, right? Like I can mask, I can hold it in with the best of them. I can shove them down. Like I really can in the moment. Like these things, like they affect me, but yet they don't affect me at the same time, if that makes any sense. And so it was interesting, but her and I got to have a good conversation around it. And I got to kind of share, some of the things that were going on with me in that moment. And it was really cool. So we're in the talks of, me moving down there. And like, guys, I got to be honest with you here. Like, I'm scared. I'm really scared. It's a big move. It's a process. There's a lot of like moving parts, right? And like the landscape's changing. It's okay. What am I going to do about work? And that's kind of why, one of the reasons why, like, I want to offer up my coaching services one-on-one, kind of like, on my own, not affiliated with, the treatment center where I work or, anywhere else, but just like trying to do it on my own. And, because if I move down there, like, there's people that do it, make that hour and a half commute. And we've kind of like talked a little bit about that. And I actually had an experience with that this week, actually, getting to make one of the one-way commute in from staying down there on Sunday night. But, it's like, what do I want to do? How do I want to do this? It's funny because, I had some family coming into town, and, at times, like, my family is not safe for me. And so we were kind of talking about, we had already kind of started the conversations, right? And I said to her, I said, oh, hey, like, it was funny. Like, I noticed that I do this, right? Like I get this idea in my mind, and I'm almost like a little boy taking this to, quote unquote, like the mother figure, and saying, hey, look at this idea I have, or look what I done, and like wanting to be like patted on the back and being like, good job, man, like you did great there, that's a great idea. But I have this idea of like, okay, I'm gonna throw this at her, like, all right, so I got a family member coming into town, not really sure how much involved in that I want to be. And so, we were talking about moving in together. Let's do a trial run, right? So while this family member's in town, I'll come and stay with you, and we'll do like kind of like a trial run. And it's funny, like she stopped me and she was like, Alex, you know that I want you to come live with me. I'm all for that. However, I do not want you coming down because you're running from something. And like in that moment, I was like, oh, wow, ooh, that hurt. Oh, I don't like that. Like, and we had some good conversations around it. And, I think that speaks to the health of her, and her character, and where she's at in her life. And that, like, yes, she's not just going to kind of, and so like I had to really like kind of sit with that and look at that and say, okay, like, and like part of me wanted to push back on that. Like part of me wanted to be like, yeah, okay, like the whole motivation, maybe it's not to run. Maybe part of the motivation is to run. But then also part of the motivation is to kind of like see how this goes, because this is going to be, this is going to be a process. This is going to be a journey, right? Like I've made those decisions to live and move in with somebody else, my ex, Patricia. And I just realized I haven't said her name on here in a while. No feelings around that, by the way. Just kind of noticed, like, I haven't said that name in a while. And I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. So like whenever that whole process went down, like I was totally trying to find safety and security in that decision in moving in with her. And that totally was like trying to fix my problem by moving in with her. And turns out it didn't fix me. It's funny how that works, and actually ended the downfall of the relationship. And so I don't know, I'm scared. I'm really afraid. And, Beanie's been really good about like, hey, I realize like, we kind of started to talk about it a little bit one night. And, the way this is, and it's really interesting. So like her and I are really similar. However, we're also like very different when it comes to like how we discuss and how we handle things. So like for me, right, with my recovery background, I am aware that like I am going to need to talk through these things. Like we're going to have around us living together, right? Like it's going to be multiple conversations. It's not going to be just a one and done conversation, right? Because you don't really cover everything in that one conversation. And I don't know who has the capacity to sit down for 6 hours and talk about these things. I don't. And so we had a conversation one night about it, like, okay, starting the process, and how like I think that we would like to get a couples counselor involved, and just because it's communication, right? Like it's communication, being able to communicate what our needs are, right? I need me time, you need you time. Like, how do we communicate this in the way to where like we don't set off the other person, or like we're able to understand where each other are coming from in, in that moment. And so I said to her, I'd really like to go back and try couples counseling again. And she was like, I'm all for that too, because I'm seeing that there's some things coming up for me as well. And so I think that would be really beneficial to help us kind of talk through these things. And I'm so grateful that like she has that attitude around this, even just the willingness, right, to go in and sit down and do couples counseling. That's huge, and that's what I want in a partner, and that's why I've decided, hey, you're a good fit for me. In that conversation where I brought up this, this little boy idea, I'll call it this little boy idea of like, hey, we'll do a trial run and I'll come down. And she was like, well, I thought, well, you said you wanted to talk about it and we really haven't talked about it. And I said, well, here's where I'm coming from. I said, in my recovery background, right? Like we normally don't get down to the things that we need to get down to, the real nuts and bolts and, the bread and butter. We got to have multiple conversations around this, right? So we're going to have a conversation and then something else is going to pop up. And then we're going to have another conversation. And like, not that it's endless conversations without any action. However, it's like, hey, because there's going to be things that come up that we don't think about in the moment. So like, I just want us to be thorough in making this decision. And maybe I'm being too thorough. Maybe I'm too afraid, right? Like I was talking to my sponsor about this the other day. Like, I really don't think that I've given it the credit and the acknowledgement that my fear is due, right? Like I've got a lot of fear around this. I'm noticing it, right? And just my little day-to-day interactions, how many times am I just grabbing my phone and wanting to scroll to just try to escape? That seems to be like a go-to for me recently. The fear is there. And I was talking to my sponsor and he was like, man, I think it's interesting. Like, he's like, me too, man. Like I don't give the fear the credit, like, and the acknowledgement that I think that it really deserves. However, like if we fully gave that fear the credit and acknowledgement that maybe it deserved, for lack of a better term, like we would be frozen in that. I would be so frozen in that fear that I wouldn't take any actions. And I don't want to live my life like that. I don't want to live my life so frozen in fear that I can't take any action, because without action, I become stale, I become stagnant, and that does not help my recovery. I cannot heal and grow and move. Like I need to move into these things. I need to lean into the fear, acknowledge it, talk about it, right? Me coming on the podcast and just saying, guys, I'm fucking scared right now. I'm scared. I was laying in bed this week and, in my process of falling asleep, my brain just like runs through everything, right? And these scenarios are popping up, but I couldn't even remember what they were really, but like it's more towards the future, right? Some future tripping in there. And like, I answered one of my questions and I said, I don't know. And then I kind of like stopped myself. And I said, okay, Alex, like, is that an acceptable answer? I don't know. And it is an acceptable answer. Like, I don't know what the future is going to hold. I don't know what the next step is. I don't know what this is fully going to look like. I don't know. And that is okay. I need to accept that. I need to accept that, like, that is 100% okay to say, I don't know, because I don't have it all figured out. I don't have my whole life planned. I don't want my whole life planned, right? Like I don't want it. I want to be surprised, right? I want to, because even if it was planned out, I would try to find a way around it. That's what I do. I try to find my way around it, or I would justify, if I knew that, hey, Alex, in 6 months, you're going to bump up against this great opportunity and it's going to be great. Well, then I might say, okay, well, for the next 5 months and 29 days, I can just slack off, because in 6 months, I know that this is going to happen. So you know what? I'm just going to not do anything. And like that's not where I want to be. I don't want to be there, right? And it's accepting life on life's terms, right? I have to be okay with whatever life is going to throw things at me. Just because I'm clean and sober, I actually just passed 11 months sober from my inner circle behaviors. Here in May will be my 1 year, which I'm really excited about. This is the most time that I've had away from my bottom line, my S behaviors, acting out behaviors. And like, I'm super grateful for that. It took me 3 years to get there. And, I got to say, I kept coming back, right? I kept coming back, talking about the things that I've got going on. But anyway, so I don't know is an acceptable answer. And there's times where like I need to just accept that. Like I don't know. And that is okay. I think as a guy, I want to have all the answers. I want to have these all figured out. Also, too, out of safety, too, right? Like it doesn't just because I'm a guy, right? That's part of it, right? There's all these different little parts that are always kind of moving and working, and like the mixed bag kind of theory. This is a mixed bag. And so part of that is being a guy, right? But part of it also too is like the safety aspect of knowing, right? If I know everything, then I can keep myself safe, right? And that's kind of a myth, right? Like, because even without knowing, I still have the ability and the tools to keep myself safe. I think that I have to know everything in order to keep myself safe, when in reality, with the work that I've done on myself, with the work in recovery, the work on 12 steps, right? My spiritual connection, my higher power, like I have everything in me today, right? I could walk out of this room and life could just smack me on my ass, and I know that I'm going to be okay. I know that I'm going to be okay. Whatever situation arises, I'm going to be okay, because I have everything that I need to make sure that I'm okay, as long as I make the choice to practice and use those things in my life, right? Like that's our challenge, is I have the choice. I can't decide what's going to happen tomorrow. I can't choose how life is going to hit me or what life's going to deal me. I can't make those choices. What I can do is I can make the choices inside of those things to keep myself safe, right? Because that's all that we want as human beings, right? We just want safety, we want security, and we want control. It was interesting, actually, a little funny little piece about control that I got to kind of give to somebody yesterday was, we've got a client here right now, and she always wore her hair up, and I'm just thought maybe she has some short hair. I don't know. Well, then she got a weave because I do Amazon orders, and it was just like a little clip-on thing. And I noticed, and I was like, "Oh, well, you got your hair down today." Like, and she's like, "It's not my hair. It's not my hair." She was like, "I got it on Amazon. I don't know why I got it on Amazon. Like, I don't know why I'm in rehab. Like, why am I trying to do this? Why am I trying to do? I don't know." And I said, "Well, hey, think about this, right? Like, you're in rehab. Part of addiction is control. You're trying to control something, right? This is what we see a lot, right? What are the two things that people try to control when they're in treatment? And that is their medicine." Hey guys, I just want to take a minute to share something deeply personal and transformative in my journey of recovery. I've been where you might be right now, struggling with the weight of addiction and feeling lost. But there's a place that offered me a new beginning, a place I truly believe in. It's called Begin Again Institute. At Begin Again, they understand the deep-rooted trauma behind addiction. Their 14-day intensive program for men tackles the neurobiological aspects of addiction head-on. It's not just about breaking a habit. It's about understanding and healing the underlying trauma that formed it in the first place. And for those who have been impacted by betrayal, Begin Again extends care to partners of addicts too. Their partner support program is offered at no additional cost to the family and runs alongside the men's intensive. This program helps participants gain an understanding of the trauma they've experienced and sets them on their own path to healing. If you or someone you love are grappling with sexual addiction, pornography addiction, or intimacy issues, Begin Again Institute can be that pivotal step towards recovery and a new lease on life. Remember, you can't go back and change the past, but it's never too late to begin again. To learn more about their life-changing program, visit beginagaininstitute.com or call 720-776-9076 to reserve your spot in the next 2-week intensive. I promise, it'll be the best call that you ever make for yourself. Stay strong, keep fighting, and keep tuning in to No Lions Here for more conversations about recovery, resilience, and hope. We see that a lot, right? People get real uptight about their medicine. And to like the Amazon orders and wanting to buy all these things, because that's where I find some kind of control. And addiction's all about control, right? Like, even if it's not me trying to control my drugs and alcohol or sex, I'm trying to control everything else around me. And in that, it's funny because I could see the light bulb come on for her, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so right. Wow, never thought of it like that. Like, wow." So just that whole idea of control and not knowing what's out in front of us. I mean, it's scary, right? Like it's exciting, right? Like I can view it from that viewpoint as well. And is that it's exciting, right? Like I'm making moves, right? Like I found this partner. It's, I really feel safe down when I'm with her and her daughter. Excuse me. Like it's exciting, right? She's got a beautiful setup down there, and it's not all about that, but like I feel safe. And so like it was interesting, like this last weekend I was down there, and I had taken a Sunday off. Normally I work on Sundays. It was Easter this last weekend, and I went down there, and we had a nice night, nice couple nights, nice few nights. I went to some dirt track races, which was, we want to talk about like country stuff. She kind of lives down in the country. Talk about like country stuff. Went to some dirt track races, and like I was captivated. It was really cool. I was like, hey, so you're gonna buy me a race car now? She was like, no. I said, okay, that's fine. But I was down there, and it was Sunday night, and so I got an hour and 20-minute drive home, which, it's funny. People are always like, oh my God, that's so far. That's such a drive. And I'm like, it's really not. I grew up in the St. Louis area, so like anytime you want to go somewhere, you're looking at 25-30 minutes. It's really not that bad of a drive. Plus, like driving, I enjoy driving. It gives me time to kind of like be me. I get to listen to whatever I want to listen to. There's times where I don't listen to music, or I'm singing at the top of my lungs and I'm dancing or I'm crying. Like it really gives me some really good me time. And so it was Sunday night, and her and her daughter, we were all sitting on the couch. We watched Love on the Spectrum this weekend, which was really good, by the way, really touching. I cried at the end of it. A little cringy though too at the same time, but good stuff though. Especially it hits close to home with my little brother having special needs. So it came time for me to like kind of start packing up and getting going. And her and her daughter were like, "Well, you can just stay. You can just stay. Like you should just stay. Just stay. Why do you got to go? You can go in the morning. Just stay. Just stay." And like I looked at my partner and I was like, "Hey, just like, can we watch the pressure? Let's just watch the pressure, because I'm already feeling it, right? Like I already don't want to leave. I don't want to leave you. I don't want to leave your daughter. Like me and her daughter have like really been getting a lot closer lately, and it's like it's been really cool to see just like the little things that we get to do together. Like her and I, it was raining on Saturday. And it was raining all day, and we were up early, and we just kind of spent the morning on the couch. And Beanie was napping on the couch, and me and her daughter were like, her daughter was like, I just want to go play. And I was like, it's raining out. And I was like, let's go play in the rain. Let's just go play in the rain. Let's get out of the house. So we went out, and then I was like, hey, you want to go fishing? And she was like, yeah, let's go fishing. So her and I went fishing, and at one point in time I was like, I love fishing. And she was like, I love fishing too. And so it was really cool. Like we're really bonding, and like that feels really good to me. Like that feels really good to me, because at one point in time, like I wasn't able to do that. Not in this relationship, in my previous relationship. So like that's really cool. And like I want to continue to grow the connections, as us as kind of like a little group together. Because I really do enjoy just like it being us, the three of us at home, whether that's, dancing around the kitchen in the morning, listening to music and making breakfast and just being goofy and just going fishing, going for a walk, going for a hike. Like it's all stuff that like really like fulfills me, and like I'm really really grateful for. So I told her, I said, hey, just watch the pressure. Like I already feel bad that I'm leaving. I don't want to leave. I don't want to do it. I don't want to leave. I want to stay here with you two, and I want to do. I don't want to go. And she was like, okay, I hear you. I hear you. So I packed up, and it was interesting. Like I went to the bathroom, and I actually spent a lot of time in prayer on the toilet. As weird as it may sound, it's when I spend a lot of time in prayer. That and in the shower, driving. Try to spend as much time in prayer as I can. And I remember like sitting on the toilet and just saying, God, like I don't want to leave. I'm going to, God, because I know that I have to. I don't want to leave right now. I don't want to. Like this is really hard for me. I don't know what to do. So I got done, got my stuff packed up, and then what do you know? Like earlier on in the day, they had put out a tornado warning or a watch. Still kind of confused, because one of them's worse than the other. One of them is, hey, the atmosphere, the weather, like it's all the perfect mixture, like a tornado could pop up. And then like the other one is, hey, there's been a touchdown tornado. So anyway, so this popped up. That popped up earlier in the day, early in the afternoon. And then as I'm literally getting ready to leave, we get the worser one of, hey, there has been a tornado spotted in your area. Get to shelter. And so I'm like, okay, well, she doesn't have a basement in her house, so her parents live about 10 minutes away. So we're like, what are we going to do? I made the bad joke of, I'm just going to leave. And so like we left, we went to her parents' house where they have this was about 7:30ish, 7:15ish. And so we get to her parents' house and we're in the basement and we're hanging out. And I noticed like I was really conflicted on what to do because at that point in time I really hadn't decided what I was going to do. I was like, man, like all right, I'm definitely going to let this weather pass. I want to be here with them for this, but I'm going to let this weather pass. Then I'll make my decision as to what I'm going to do because I don't really know what I'm going to do. And I remember like we were in her parents' basement and they were watching TV, and I remember just being on my phone scrolling. And she leaned over and she was like, "Are you okay? You're being really quiet." And like I knew that like I was trying to escape the uncomfortability around like what should I do? I don't know what to do. I don't know what decision to make. So instead of like making a decision, I'm just going to kind of get lost in scrolling a little bit. And so the tornado warning watch passes, the sirens are going off, it passes. And so we leave her parents' house and it's just like storming real bad. And she's like, let me look up and see like, what the storm's going to do on your drive home since you're going north and this is kind of moving north. And, she was like, well, the storm isn't going to be chasing you. You're going to be essentially chasing the storm. And so like there's one thing about me, like I don't like driving in really bad weather. I'll do it and I'll look cool and calm and collected on the outside, but on the inside, I don't like it. So like we're driving home, and I mean it's to the point where like I got both hands on the steering wheel, and I'm like up, moved up. I'm trying to see, make sure I can see the road and the lines, and like so in that moment, I'm thinking, all right, man, I really don't want to drive home in this. An hour and 20 minutes in this. This sounds terrible. I don't want to do that. So you know what? I'm gonna stay. I'm just gonna stay. Now, did not communicate that in the moment, right? And this was my train of thought was, and they're like in the car, like telling me like, oh, you're more than welcome to stay. You should probably just stay. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna stay, but I'm not going to mention this yet. I'm going to wait till we get back to the house, act like I'm maybe leaving, and then I'm going to do this big grandiose reveal of like, I'm staying, hooray, let's turn the TV on, get the popcorn going, right? Like, and I had this built up in my head of what I was going to do. And, I did not take into account how anxious she was. The storm made her really anxious. And on top of like not wanting me to leave. So like we get back to the house and I'm like, hey, I'm just going to stay and I'll just drive into work in the morning. We'll get up at this time and we'll spend some time together in the morning and all right, let's watch our show and, just kind of hang out. And, so her and I went to bed and it was kind of like, we kind of I told her about like hey, I was praying on the toilet and this popped up and, it was really like, okay, I should really stay. And then like, so I got to share that with her, and then I got to kind of bring up the pressure thing again, like, hey, just watch the pressure though, okay? Because I'm already feeling it, and she got kind of, she then shared like, well, what am I supposed to do with these then? Like, I'm just supposed to figure this out on my own. Like, I don't know what to do with these, and like, she started kind of crying a little bit, and in that moment, like, I just got to like be there for her, right? We're talking about like co-regulation and like just hearing her out, right? Like I just heard her out. And then I just kind of explained to her, I said, okay, thanks for sharing that with me. I said, let me tell you about my part in this and where I was thinking, what I was doing, and let me just I know that it's past, but let me just kind of communicate again what was going through my head. And so I got to share that with her, right? And I just shared with her everything, about the prayer and, being distant on my phone because I didn't know what decision to make. And then, driving home and trying to like play these things out in my brain. I really don't want to drive home, so I'm going to stay and but I'm not going to tell them right now. I'm going to wait till we get back to the house and make a big deal about it. And in telling her that definitely seemed to comfort her, and even just allowing her that space, to share and feel and just be comforting to her and be safe and secure for her, and we got through that conversation, and it ended up, being a conversation, and I think that it really brought us closer. And like, so like my part in all this, like I can see where I can do things differently moving forward. And that is just try to communicate more. And, I do struggle with that from time to time, especially within the relationship, right? Like within the relationship, I'm really finding that like I struggle at times to communicate what's going on with me in the moment. And I don't know if, and it's not, I see it, right? I see it. What I do know is, okay, I struggle with being open and really communicating. Now, is there a fear there? I don't know. And I don't know if I'm today, if I'm, because I know that I don't need to pick up the shovel and start digging at this. I know that I don't need to. The answer will reveal itself. I think the important thing is the awareness, right? I'm aware that I don't always do well with communicating in the moment inside the relationship. I'm aware of that. Again, I mean, I can make assumptions here, whether that be fear, whether that be, hey, yeah, you should be able to figure this out on your own, back to some old patterns type of way. I don't know, but I'm seeing it, and I'm open to having those conversations, even if it is after the fact. And I know that I will become more willing to have those conversations, like in the moment, or even just a little bit about communicating what's going through my head, right? And I don't know, I guess sometimes maybe I feel stupid for that. So, I don't know. More shall be revealed with all of that, right? I've got my higher power, God's involved, and I've got a great partner that I know that she would understand, right? I've always been met with love and empathy when I do share, whatever it is I'm struggling with inside of me. I know that she's always there for me. So, and also too, like, I got my people as well, right? Like I've got my people as well, my support network. That's the importance of just like staying connected, right? Because we try to do this all on our own, and that's where it gets me in trouble. Like that's where I can really get in trouble with this stuff, is like trying to do it on my own. And so today I'm grateful that like I don't have to do this stuff all on my own, and that I can bounce things off other people, and I can let other people in today. And that, my thoughts are fairly clean, right? Because it's not like my thoughts immediately went to acting out or using or anything like that. It just, figuring out how to go about these things. So yeah, with these conversations, I've got I've got some therapists, that I need to reach out to, that we're gonna get into. And yeah, I'm excited though. I'm really excited. So, back to kind of like offering up the coaching services, like trying to figure out, there are jobs down there, and I don't know, I don't know what I'm ready to do. I've reached out looking for some information on some other potential jobs down there. They do have some certified peer recovery specialist positions down there. And I've reached out, and basically I just haven't gotten any calls back. And so that's why it kind of prompted me to like, all right, well, let me see what I can do on my own. Right. Like, and I've been thinking about this too lately. Like, I've got a lot of like really smart and successful friends, and most of my life, and this boils down to like the view of myself, right? Is that like, well, I don't have the education. I didn't go to college. I look at some of my friends who have their doctorate degree and different things, and like they're just really smart. Some of the smartest human beings, attorneys, doctors, they run their own businesses, just like my friends are very smart people. And I always thought of like, well, I'm going to wait till one of my friends like gets big, and then maybe they'll throw me some crumbs. Maybe they'll throw me a cush job, or, something, something little that I can help out with, essentially like riding the coattails of people around me. And that's because I had no self-worth for myself, because I didn't think that I was capable of achieving that level of success on my own, and that I had to rely on other people to give me things. And I'm really pushing back against that tape, right? Because I don't want to have to depend or rely on anybody else to measure my success. And to measure what I'm doing. Now, success looks a lot different to me today as far as money goes. Like, I'm not a big money person. Like, I want to be comfortable, but also at the same time, like, I don't need to be filthy rich. I don't need that. I want to be comfortable, and I want to be safe and secure in who I am, right? Like I'm actually living the dream, as far as my dream is to be able to put myself out there and tell my story and not care what other people think. Like, that's success to me, that I'm okay, that I've put the work in and that I'm okay with myself and I don't care what you think about me. And that I've done a lot of work on myself and I'm really proud of that. And if you want to judge me for my story, that's on you. That is not on me. And actually, me telling my story is helping people. I haven't bumped up against the negative stuff that's on the internet as far as like people coming after me and things like that. And I'm really grateful for that. Like, maybe one day if I continue to put myself out there, maybe, but also too, like, I know God's involved. And so, I can make my own way. I can blaze my own trail. I can make my own way. Anybody can, right? It's just it's stepping out. It's taking the risk. Like, me offering up my services, it feels a little risky to me, right? Like, and I don't know what the response is going to be. I don't know what the feedback. I don't know, right? I might not get anybody. Okay, like, but just with the way that things are going as far as like the information that I'm looking for with some of these other places, like, I'm not getting it. And I'm kind of surprised. I'm like really surprised because I'm qualified. I'm qualified for these positions. I have the experience. I mean, even before getting into recovery, I've got a lot of great, managerial type background. And so I'm just like, I'm confused. I don't feel rejected at all around that. Just like confused though, maybe a little helpless. Just again, that whole like, I don't know, and like it being okay to not know where this is going to take me. So it's like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe instead of, waiting on somebody else, let me try to like make this opportunity for myself, right? I've been working really hard at this, and let me try to make this opportunity for myself. And you know what? I've got this platform, so like I'm just gonna throw it out there and see, what comes of it. I don't know. God's involved, and okay, so let me throw this out there, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing, and it's interesting, like, um, kind of coming full circle. I'm trying to blaze the trail for Alex, and I'm trying to show myself that like I don't need to rely on other people. And at times that's okay to do, right? Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying like be all the way, which I'm really grateful, because at one point in time, like, that was the pendulum, that was the black and white thinking of like, all right, fuck everybody else. It's me. It's all on me, and I'm doing this. Screw everybody else. Like, it's not that mentality. The mentality is like, if I need other people to rely on, I have people in my life that I can rely on. It's just in this area, you know what? Let me step out. Let me take that leap. Let me take a risk. Let me put myself out there. And you know what? I'll see what comes back. I'll see. And that's, what does Wayne Gretzky and Michael Scott say? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So here I am taking a shot, right? I don't know where this is going to lead me. I don't know what's going to come of it. But here I am taking my shot. Let me know. Again, offering up my services for any kind of, recovery coaching. Let me know if I can be an assistance to you. I'm grateful that I'm in this position to where I can kind of offer this thing up and feel like I'm ready to do that, right? This is, again, taking action, right? Being around my dream, right? Taking action. This is the dream for me. This is the goal. So let me live in that. Let me live in that. And I think that's like the importance of writing down our goals, right? And writing down what I believe my purpose is. Because if I can write these things down, then I can break them down into manageable bits. Okay, how do I live in my purpose today? I live in my purpose by being of service to others, right? By being connected to my higher power, to God, being connected to the people around us. Like, let me live in that purpose today. And so that's what I'm really trying to do, right? And that's what I love about the podcast and being able to come on here. Like, this is my service to the community, is by putting this stuff out there. And like, I'm just so grateful that God has given me this gift that I can do that. So yeah, with all that being said, thanks so much for joining me on my journey, man. Like, I really appreciate it. I'm really grateful that I get to do this, man. And that I'm going to continue to do this no matter what. And, even if I feel like it's a lot, like, I know that it's good, right? Like, even just sitting here, knowing that I was coming in today to do this, like, I'm just was really excited for that. Today's an Alex day, and I need these days, right? Like, I'm going to come in, do this podcast. I'm going to record another episode after this with a guest, and then I'm going to go home and cut grass, and then I'm going to watch playoff hockey, right? Let's go Blues. Blues are down 2-0 right now against Winnipeg. So let's go Blues. And yeah, thanks so much for joining me on this journey. It means a lot to me. And I'm just really grateful that I'm able to have this platform and to share my story, the good, the bad, and everything in between. I do believe that this is the calling on my life. So thank you so much for joining me today. And as always, definitely go check out the description. Go check out Beginning in Institute out in Boulder, Colorado. Again, if you're on the fence or anything like that, or if it's something that you think that you need, like, reach out to me, and I will be more than happy to discuss my experience more with that. Or you can go later back into the discography of the episodes, and I talk a lot about it. I've had some of their therapists on. Like, they're amazing human beings over there. I mean, they're doing amazing work, and I'm just so grateful to be still tied to them in some way, shape, or form. It was a big move for me. So definitely, or if you want to connect, please feel free to reach out. NoLionsHere@gmail.com. Again, that is NoLionsHere@gmail.com. Go check us out on Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, go check us out on Spotify. The whole 93 episodes are out. I think 94. We're closing in on 100, which I'm really excited about. And go check us out on YouTube, on Spotify, on iTunes, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Go give us a like, go give us a follow, guys, because it really does help me out. So thank you guys so much for joining me on my journey. It means so much to me. I can't say it enough. Thank you so much. And as always, guys, keep coming back. It works if you work it, and when you're worth it. I'll see you guys next time.